William yearned for true happiness. He searched for fulfillment in his music, his friends, his image, and in financial security. He planned to study, to travel the world, and then to settle down with a stable job into a comfortable lifestyle with his own set of values and even a God of his own making. But William never found happiness in the places in which he searched. God had other plans for him. And then he remembered those words of St. Augustine. The heart remains restless until it rests in God. In his desperation and confusion, William set out on a journey by foot to the Marian shrine at Ngome. It was a long walk without food or shelter, a way unknown, a plunge into the dark. And William began to pray. Along the way, in all the poverty of this act of surrendering himself to God and leaving his old self behind, William found the answers that he had been looking for in a place that he'd never have dreamed of, his own heart. In the heat of all his desperation, frustration, emptiness and insecurity, William felt as if God had shone a light into the depths of his soul. Slowly his defenses crumbled, and it felt as if God had taken him by the hand and was leading him on to that place from which many graces come, Ngome. A pilgrimage to Ngome is a journey into the mind and heart of God. This is the story of Ngome, a place that God has chosen through Mary, the mother of Jesus, to be a special source of grace and life for the world. In recent history, the Blessed Virgin Mary has appeared at various times in the African continent, calling us to turn to her Son Jesus and to convert our lives to God. It is impossible to know how many times the Blessed Mother has appeared to various people over this vast continent, but the more well-known apparition sites in Africa are Zeitoun, a suburb of Cairo, Egypt, Kibeho in Rwanda, and Ngome in South Africa. At Zeitoun, Mary has revealed her presence as never before. Literally millions of people of all beliefs and practices, including Jews, Muslims, Christians, and even atheists, have witnessed the appearance of the Blessed Virgin Mary above the Coptic church of St. Damien. Mary gave no messages, but her silent presence spoke volumes. Bishop Marcos of the Coptic Orthodox Church witnessed the apparitions.
It was a very thrilling thing that I took a folding chair and I spent the whole night sitting on the folding chair while the crowds around me were thousands of people, really, like a big ocean of people. And nothing happened until almost after 3 a.m. in the morning. There was like smoke or cloud, as if it is gathering on top of the dome of the church, the central dome of the church. And it started to get dense and dense. It's very clear. I mean, nobody can doubt that this was just like a cloud or a smoke coming and getting more denser, and then suddenly within that is a light is flashing inside that thing, and you see a woman standing in a full size in a bluish white, very bright color, and that the Virgin Mary was appearing in front of everybody, and people started to shout, and everybody was really as if they are seeing something from heavens, a very heavenly thing. And she was not standing still. I mean, she was not as if she's just an image, but you can feel that she is living image, because she nodded to the people. And while her head was covered by a veil, and that veil was coming to the shoulders, and from the shoulders it's folded around her. Both hands were like this. And she nodded to the people as if she was saluting the people. Then she turned to that crowd who was crying that side, and she did the same thing. And then she was not walking. You feel that as if she is like a cloud sliding. And then she looked at this direction and she nodded to the people also. And then after that she stood as if she is meditating or in a prayer's form. And she was keeping looking to heavens. And that continued until sunrise. It's about a few minutes after 5 a.m. in the morning. That was really a big roar from the people. Everybody was shouting and saying her name and, "Oh, Mother of God," and so on. And many miracles happened. I am witness that somebody next to us there, he said that he is not a Christian, and while he was working, he hammered his finger, and it was gangrenous, and it was supposed to be amputated. But as that apparition happened, he pointed at her and said to her, "Oh, Mother, heal me," and he was healed. And many of thousands of miracles has been recorded fully. Nothing of them is doubtful or fake or anything, but even from Christians or non-Christians. No doubt there were many conversions of many people. We understand very well that also at that time the president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, he went there and he spent the full night in the flat next to that church, and he saw her. And many other people saw her, and it led to many conversions. It happened that I saw her the first time, then I saw her twice again in the same time in April 68. Since then, really, my life, I can say that my life has changed. Seeing a scene from a heavenly, it's really heavenly. It is not something earthly or physical. It is certainly heavenly.
Rwanda, a small mountainous country in Central Africa. In 1981, 3 years before the ethnic war which decimated the country, the Blessed Virgin Mary began appearing in the isolated town of Kibeho, bringing a message of love and repentance through 7 young people: Alphonsine, Anatoly, Marie-Claire, Stephanie, Vestine, Emmanuel, and Agnes. The local bishop, Monsignor Gahamanyi of Butare, showed a diligent attitude by taking charge of a prudent investigation into the events by competent people. The call of Our Lady at Kibeho is an urgent one. Do not wait to convert. Had it been embraced by the people of Rwanda, the country would surely have escaped the tragedy of 1994, which left 1 million people dead, including 25% of its priests, 3 bishops, and hundreds of religious. 3 visionaries, Marie Claire, Emmanuel, and Maria Assunta, were killed in the massacres. The Mother of God used very strong expressions, often difficult to translate, to describe the sins of the world. The sins are more numerous than the drops of water in the ocean. The world is racing towards its ruin. The world gets more evil all the time. Wherever the Blessed Virgin Mary appears, her call is a message of hope, to guide us out of the way of darkness and to lead us to her Son Jesus. In addition to the apparitions of Mary at Kibeho, Jesus has himself given messages to some of the visionaries. While there are many Christians who find it hard to accept the reality and urgency of current Marian apparitions, there are many who have come to realize that Mary's role is simply to lead us to her Son Jesus. In the eternal kingdom of heaven, united with all the saints and angels, Mary now reigns as Queen of Heaven and Mother of all humanity. These are truths that need to be accepted urgently, because today Jesus and Mary are crying out for each of us to take stock of our lives, to seek repentance from sin, and to start living a life based on the commandments of God and on the values of the gospel. Situated on the east coast of South Africa, Zululand forms the northern portion of the province named KwaZulu-Natal. The coastal plains of Zululand contain many vast unspoilt beaches, as well as rivers, lakes, freshwater pans, mangrove and swamp forests in coastal conservation areas. Stretching inland is an area of seemingly endless rolling hills and valleys. There are forest sanctuaries, misty mountain peaks, grassy plains, and dense bush, where one can find an astonishingly wide variety of wildlife and bird life. Chosen by the Blessed Virgin Mary as a place of special grace, Ngome is located in central Zululand. It borders the pristine conservation area known as the Ntindeka Wilderness Area, which consists of an indigenous forest and grassland. The beautiful Ngome State Forest is a perfect example of an inland tropical forest. Running through the area are dramatic steep cliffs which offer breathtaking panoramic views of the surrounding countryside. Had it not been for the dramatic intervention of the Virgin Mary into the life of the Benedictine nun, Sister Reynolda, Ngome would surely not have become the place of pilgrimage for the people of South Africa that it is today.
dear people of God, I do hope we all rejoice today, our hearts bubbling with joy for many reasons. We rejoice that the Lord has given us a chance to come to Ngome, a place of prayer, to pray in a special way. I'm sure we are praying all the time, but we want here in Ngome to pray in a very, very special way. We want to cleanse ourselves, my dear brothers and sisters, today, and that is why we come to Ngome. We come to Ngome to work. We come to Ngome to wash, because we need. And today Our Lady has appeared in several places in the world. Is emphasizing nothing else but penance, prayer, and God's will. If God's will be done on this earth, the earth will be transformed. And we are here today because we want to team up with our mother. We want to say today to our mother, we dedicate ourselves as your companions. We dedicate ourselves as your children. Not naughty children, unruly children, but children who are ever attentive. What is the mother saying? What is the message of our Heavenly Mother? How best can we carry it out? And therein lies our salvation.
On the 21st of October 1901, Sister Reynolda May was born at Fallheim in Germany. In baptism she was named Franziska. Growing up with 7 brothers and sisters on a farm worked by her parents, Franziska was a lively and charming child. Since her youth, Franziska had a strong devotion to the Blessed Sacrament, due largely to the zealous efforts of Father Eugene Addis, the parish priest of Fallheim, the little Catholic village in which she grew up. Father Addis made every effort to get his parishioners actively involved in many aspects of parish life. He fervently promoted Eucharistic and Marian devotion, especially through exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. Consequently, such an environment produced a large number of religious vocations. Over a period of 28 years, while Father Addis was parish priest of Fallheim, about 36 girls entered convents. One of them was Franziska May. On the advice of Father Addis, Franziska joined the Missionary Benedictine Sisters of Tutzing. However, no sooner had she joined them than she took ill, and because she was considered not healthy enough to go to the missions, she had to return to her family. But the seed of a religious vocation had already taken root in Franziska, and after spending much time in prayer at the parish church, she tried a second time. This time, she was successful. After 3 years of formation in religious life, she was professed on the 10th of February 1925. 4 months later, after receiving the Mission Cross, Sister Reynolda, as she was now known, left Germany for South Africa. Arriving in Zululand, Sister Reynolda worked as a seamstress in the sewing room at various mission stations over a period of 10 years. During this time, on the 12th of February 1928, she pronounced her final vows. In her desire to communicate with the local people, Sister Reynolda learned the Zulu language with enthusiasm and determination. She became the first religious sister in Zululand to study midwifery. In 1938, she was awarded a diploma as midwife from a government hospital in Pietermaritzburg. She was then put in charge of the newly established Benedictine Mission Hospital at Ngome. In 1926, Ngome had become a mission station of the Benedictines. They established a string of outstations in the district in order to win new converts to Christianity and to form them into communities. In 1944, they bought a large farm at Ngome, 30 kilometers northwest of Ngome. This farm was intended as a source of income for the mission station at Ngome, with its school and hospital. Having only the most basic facilities, the new Benedictine hospital at Ngome had a rough beginning. The local district surgeon, fearing that he would lose patients, was opposed to the hospital. Sister Reynolda had to suffer much under these difficult conditions, but she was a determined person and never gave in to discouragement. She would spend long hours in prayer, very often at night. She was a self-disciplined and level-headed person. She never panicked in moments of crisis, but always remained calm and composed. People who knew her well frequently remarked that she had both feet firmly on the ground.
Sister Reynolda, actually, I liked her very much. She was a very kind person, always smiling, good to us, and very happy with her mothers, whom she, of course, nursed and delivered, and in her profession. She was also very dedicated with her teaching to us, and we were looking forward, really, for her lectures, because she made everything so picturesque. At that time, of course, it was in 1957. Ngome was still at also a very primitive hospital, small, and also not too well equipped. But she always found ways of explaining things very well with just improvised things.
Sister Reynolda was not a passive person who would simply wait for orders. On the contrary, she often took the initiative in dealing with situations and in solving problems. In writing about her, a sister that knew her closely commented that her creativity and imaginative capability may well have been important factors in the development of her spiritual life, particularly in shaping her style of prayer. Over the years, Sister Reynolda became one of the best-known Catholic missionaries in the area. She felt compelled to visit the Zulus in their homes, to look up the old and sick who could not come to church, to instruct catechumens, and to prepare children and adults before they received a sacrament. Doing the rounds on foot or on horseback, she often accompanied the priests on their journeys to an outstation. There was an unusual missionary zeal in Sister Reynolda, or Sister Mashiani, as she was sometimes called.
The Zulus and also we were her students in midwifery. We called her simply Sister Mashiani. Mashiani, that means she had a little bit thick eyebrows. And according to that, well, it's habitual. The Zulus, they always give nicknames. And so her nickname was Mashiani. And she liked it very much.
To put herself completely at the service of others was the way Sister Reynolda understood her missionary calling. She would often spend long hours at the bedside of patients who were seriously ill. She was instrumental in many people finding their way to the church, and was above all concerned about lapsed Catholics who had drifted away from the church. Her genuine interest in the welfare of the people, especially the poor, her gentle, friendly and compassionate personality made Sister Reynolda popular in the whole district of Ngome.
Indaba kaSister Reynolda.
Sister Reynolda used to visit us at home when she was still young. When I was about 14 years old, Sister Reynolda used to come and pray the rosary at our home with us. She often used to pray for this place which is called Ngome. She was someone who enlightened us. She also visited us during that time that they built a chapel here at Ngome. We would pray together with Sister Reynolda in that church. After waiting a long time to fall pregnant, I conceived a baby while I was part of the Rosary group. At our meetings, Sister Reynolda used to teach me to pray the Rosary. Sister Reynolda told me to preach about the Rosary to other people of Ngome, so that they can continue praying the Rosary at Ngome. But we must not just pray the Rosary. We must also go to church and do this continuously. This is the way of the cross. God is pouring His blessing here at Ngome. Sister Reynolda wanted the people of Ngome to come and pray here in big numbers, just as many as all the people that come from far away to visit Ngome.
During the time that Sister Reynolda worked at the Benedictine Hospital of Ngome, she experienced 10 visions of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The first encounter with Our Lady took place on the 22nd of August, 1955, which was then the feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Shortly after receiving Holy Communion, Mary stood before me, very close by. Everything was seen in spirit. I was drawn into another atmosphere. Mary showed herself in a wonderful light, more beautiful than the sun. She was robed all in white, flowing veil top to toe. Upon her breast rested a big host, surrounded by a brilliant corona, radiating life. She was a living monstrance. Mary stood upon the globe, hands and feet invisible. I felt like entering a cloud drawn by Mary away from the earth. I had my eyes closed, but I saw so much light that for several days I was very much dazzled by the beauty and the light that I had seen.
Call me tabernacle of the Most High. You too are such a tabernacle. Believe it. I wish to be called upon by this title for the glory of my Son. I wish that more such tabernacles be prepared. I mean human hearts. I wish that the altars be surrounded by praying people more frequently. Don't be afraid. Make it known.
I then asked, "To whom?" Mary replied,
Don't be afraid. Tell your priest.
Two months later, in October 1955, on two separate occasions, Sister Reynolda had similar encounters with the Blessed Virgin Mary.
It happened immediately after Holy Mass. It was the same figure, the same place. The same requests were repeated, but the following was added.
Make these words known to everybody. Don't be afraid. You are God's too.
Then Christ came out of this big host and was in union with me.
In March of the following year, 1956, Sister Reynolda's fourth encounter with Mary took place. From this day forward, Ngome was set to become a place of pilgrimage for the people of Southern Africa and beyond.
After Holy Mass, Mary stood before me, serious. She said the following:
My child, I know about your anxiety.
She bent down and drew me to herself.
You asked for a sign?
Not for me, for the others, so that they may believe. They do not believe me.
I wish that a shrine be erected for me in the place where 7 springs come together. There I let my graces flow in abundance. Many people shall turn to God.
When I asked, "Where is the place?" without words, she made a movement of the hand. The left hand pointed majestically upwards at a certain direction. This made me very happy, and I felt great assurance.
Don't be afraid. Make it known. It is my work. I shall see you again.
Three months later, on the feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, during benediction of the Blessed Sacrament, Sister Reynolda again had a vision of the Blessed Virgin. Mary spoke no message, but she revealed herself in a simple yet profound way.
She came out of the monstrance and approached me as a living monstrance.
Sister Reynolda's sixth encounter with Our Lady happened 9 months later, on the 15th of March 1957. She gave the following message:
I come to strengthen you. I make use of your nothingness. Be totally humble.
Pausing, She drew me to herself and said,
I want to save the world through the host, my fruit. I am completely one with the host, as I was one with Jesus under the cross. Fearful things are in store for you unless you convert.
I asked, we?
Yes, if the religious do not convert, and if the world does not convert.
Mother, just give me a sign.
You be all love and readiness. All people who hear and believe these my words are going to receive a sign from me. Make all these words known.
Consolingly, Mary appeared to Sister Reynolda 2 months later.
The following words were clearly heard.
Don't lose heart.
The Message of Ngome is very Eucharistic, and when our Lord appeared as a host on Our Lady's breast, he actually stepped out of the host and embraced Sister Reynolda May, and that to me is very significant. It was very personal, very private really, and I think we're all called to that, and we can find this in the Holy Mass. Padre Pio said that the world could exist more easily without the Son than without Holy Mass. And this is the main message I feel of Ngome, is to get us back to Christ, to be purified, to have that personal commitment with Jesus through the prayers of Mary, Tabernacle of the Most High.
In December 1957, after visiting a sick person in the area of Ngome, Sister Reynolda had the opportunity to visit the farm at Ngome belonging to the Benedictines. Sister Reynolda had a strong feeling that this would become the place for the sanctuary that had been requested by Our Lady. During the fourth encounter of the previous year, the Blessed Virgin had, with a movement of the hand, pointed in this direction, calling it the place where 7 springs come together. Sister Reynolda consulted the parish priest of Ngome, Father Ignatius Jutz, who soon after that provided Sister Reynolda with photographs of the 7 springs. He explained to her that 7 was a symbolic number, meaning many, since he had found a great many springs in the area. On the 17th of April, 1958, Sister Reynolda encountered Our Lady for the 8th time.
Like a command, Mary said,
Go to your place. Hurry up. The hour is advanced. I must keep back the streams of grace with force, because you do not make any effort to help me. I am asking for help from you, my chosen ones.
What are we supposed to do?
Be hosts. Prepare hosts for me. Hosts who put themselves completely at my disposal. Only a flaming sea of hosts can drive back the hate of the godless world and restrain the angry hand of the Father. Don't get tired. I find consolation in revealing myself to you. I shall never abandon you.
Where is the place of the springs?
On your property on the mountain.
With a movement of the hand, she indicated a second time the very same direction.
Don't be afraid. Make haste to make it known.
Rosemary, you've been involved for many years in promoting Ngome. What do you think was Mary's reason for appearing in this out-of-the-way place?
Well, we can never understand Our Lady's reason, but we know that she has asked that a shrine be erected at this place. She specified she wanted it here, at a place where many springs came together, 7 springs came together, 7 biblically meaning many. And the priest looked for the place, and he found this place where the springs came together, and Our Lady had said it was on the Ngome mountain.
The place of the springs is a haven of peace for many of today's pilgrims to Ngome. The springs form a small pool in a thick forest about 200 meters below the spot where the chapel today stands. A pathway has been laid out with some steps leading down to the pool. A wooden cross and benches are found near the edge of the water. Pilgrims gather water and pray at this place of tranquility and peace.
And I can tell you that I know from myself that whenever we go down to the water where the springs are, it's very difficult to describe. There's something very beautiful and very peaceful, and that I can't put into words. There's something there. It's almost like being in heaven in a way. It's so peaceful. It's so close to God.
Soon after purchasing the land, the Benedictines used the Ngome farm mainly for cattle ranching. Later on, a small school known as the Mayime School was built on the farm to enable the children in the area to get a basic education. One of the classrooms at Mayime School was used as a chapel where the Catholics came together on Sundays. Soon after the 8th encounter between Sister Reynolda and Our Lady, Sister Reynolda began to feel the need for a picture of Mary, Tabernacle of the Most High. Consequently, with the consent of Bishop Bulgari, then the Bishop of Eshowe, and with the support of Archabbot Brechter of St. Ottilian, who was then the superior of the missionary Benedictines in Zululand, an artist from Munich, Joseph Amann, was commissioned to paint the picture of Our Lady according to the instructions given to him by Sister Reynolda. The picture was completed in September 1962 and was brought to the school at Ngome on the 1st of May 1963. It remained here until the chapel that had been requested by Sister Reynolda was erected a few years later. The construction of the chapel had been greatly facilitated by the parish priest of Ngome, Father Ignatius Jutz. Being a wholehearted supporter of Sister Reynolda's claims, Father Ignatius had obtained the consent of Bishop Bulgari to build a small chapel at Ngome. Pentecost Sunday, May the 29th, 1966, saw the opening and blessing of the Ngome Chapel by Father Ignatius Jutz. After Sister Reynolda's 8th encounter with the Blessed Virgin, a period of 12 years passed before Our Lady would again bring a message.
It was the second night after a horrible appearance of the devil. I was woken from my sleep. All around me was light. Mary, the tabernacle of the Most High, stood beside me. She took me into her arms and consoled me. She said,
I know about your anxiety. I stand by you. I shall not abandon you.
Before she disappeared, she said,
Look to the other side.
There stood Michael in armor and a lance in his hands. On his right stood a cherubim, robed in white, his arms folded. After about 2 minutes they disappeared, and so did the brilliant light. This was a great consolation for me.
On the 2nd of May of the following year, 1971, Sister Reynolda visited Ngome. Here she experienced her 10th and final encounter with Our Lady. In her diary she described what happened in these words.
Shortly before I left, I went again to the chapel with a small group of women. A catechumen had complained that she is in trouble because she wants to believe. One of her neighbors called her names, and they were quarreling. I prayed aloud with the women and asked Mary to help this woman and to convert this troublemaker. Suddenly I noticed that the picture was very much alive. She stepped forward, and her face was immensely beautiful. In my excitement, I shouted, "Look at Mary!" I am convinced that the women too saw Mary. I personally was so moved that I walked away silently. The same troublesome man asked the priest for pardon, and since then there is peace.
Throughout the time of her encounters with the Blessed Virgin, Sister Reynolda had a pressing urge to make the messages of Our Lady known. For various reasons, she was, however, not able to fulfill this desire as freely as she would have liked to. It saddened her that some of her contemporaries remained skeptical and did not show much interest in investigating her claims. For a period of 5 years following her final vision of Our Lady, Sister Reynolda remained head of the maternity department at Ngome Hospital. During this period she continued to be a figure of great popularity in the area, especially amongst the Zulu people, whom she served out of love. Here she is seen with Paramount Chief Cyprian Bukuzulu at his residence at Ngome. He was then the heir to the royal throne in KwaZulu. In 1973, the local bishop, Bishop Bulgari, passed away. 2 years later, Bishop Mansuet Biyase succeeded him as Bishop of Eshowe. In the same year, Sister Reynolda celebrated the 50th anniversary of the renewal of her religious vows as a Benedictine nun, a day of joy and blessing for her. In June of the following year, now 74 years old, she retired from her position as matron of the maternity section and moved to St. Albans Convent in Ngome. Sister Reynolda remained here for 4 years, during which time she would daily walk to the hospital to visit the sick. She had a unique gift of comforting those at the threshold of death. Through her initiative, many were reconciled with the Church or received the sacrament of baptism before they died. In June 1980, it became clear that Sister Reynolda was herself becoming frail. She was diagnosed as suffering from cancer of the colon. 2 months later, she was transferred to the infirmary of the convent of Benedictine nuns at Nkamana, 80 kilometers northwest of Ngome. Situated on the outskirts of the town of Vryheid and on the shores of a dam, Nkamana itself has a certain air of peace and tranquility. Nkamana is today home to a community of missionary Benedictine monks and nuns who run a school as well as a farm on the property. Here, Sister Reynolda spent the last 8 months of her life. On the 1st of April 1981, Sister Reynolda passed away. An unusually great number of mourners attended her requiem mass at Ngome. Among them was a representative of the Zulu king, Goodwill Zwelithini. His presence gave credit to the friendly ties which Sister Reynolda had cherished with many members of the royal family. Here in the cemetery of Ngome Abbey, Sister Reynolda was laid to rest on April the 6th, 1981. What has become of Ngome since the death of Sister Reynolda? Has the call of the Blessed Virgin been fulfilled? How has the Church responded? How are you and I called to respond? Part 2 documents the blossoming of Ngome from the death of Sister Reynolda until today. Some of the protagonists in the ongoing story of the emergence of Ngome as a source of grace in our land share their experiences.
We would like to promote the Marian shrine of Ngome, especially in South Africa, because we are convinced that this shrine has a special message for our country, for the people in South Africa, the Christians who live in our country. Our Lady wants us to become God-centered.
Today, Ngome is visited by a growing number of people from all walks of life. Hear what some of South Africa's bishops have to say of Ngome. Hear touching accounts of just a few of the many who have experienced healing and joy at this unique place of pilgrimage, this haven of peace.